I met her at the dog park, and 5 minutes in, I thought I was the lucky one. I thought I'd finally met someone who felt like home. Kara came into my life like a spark. Funny, spontaneous, easy to talk to. We hit it off fast, and for the first time in a long time, I thought maybe love wasn't this impossible thing people just faked for social media. But then I got a message from someone I didn't know, and everything I thought was real came crashing down. I wasn't really looking for anyone when I met Kara. I'd just moved to Austin about 6 months earlier, working from home doing graphic design for a few out-of-state clients. I had a decent apartment, a dog named Loki, and a small but solid social circle, thanks to my brother Benji, who'd lived here for years. Most afternoons, I took Loki to this park near Barton Creek. Dog people are good people, and it gave me a break from staring at Adobe Illustrator for 10 hours a day. That's where I met her. Kara. She was there with this tiny rescue mutt named Scout, part terrier, part gremlin. Scout barked at everything, but she clearly adored him. Kara was chasing Scout down after he bolted with some other dog's ball. Loki, being the chaos-loving menace he is, jumped in and made it worse by turning it into a full-on chase. I ran over, half apologizing, half laughing, and Kara looked up at me with this grin and said, "Your dog has no morals." I laughed. He's emotionally manipulative, too. Just wait. He'll guilt you into giving him treats and then ghost you. We talked for 15 minutes straight. About dogs, music, the heat. She was quick, sarcastic, witty in that I'm not trying too hard but still sounds smarter than you way. Before she left, she said, "You're actually kind of funny. Want to exchange numbers or just let the universe decide if we run into each other again?" I gave her my number. Because the universe is unreliable and I'm not dumb. We started texting that night. Light stuff at first. Dog memes, Spotify links, casual what are you up to conversations. By the third day, it was full-on flirty. She called me a closet dork with a suspicious amount of charm. I said she talked like someone who'd cheated on board games. She said she had, and she wasn't sorry. We met up for coffee the next weekend. Then, drinks. Then dinner. It just kept clicking. She told me she had just gotten out of something messy, but it wasn't recent. More like a weird on-again, off-again thing that finally burned out. She said she wasn't looking to rush into anything, which I respected. I wasn't trying to force a title onto it. It just felt good to be around her. So we kept hanging out, week by week. We never said exclusive, but it felt exclusive. I didn't see anyone else. And she sure acted like she wasn't either. Kara wasn't big on social media. She had an Instagram, but it was half-locked, barely updated. Just a few photos of Scout and some old concert shots. Her phone was always on silent. She wasn't shady, just private. At least that's what I told myself. Looking back, the signs were there, like the fact that I'd never been to her apartment. She always came to mine or suggested we meet somewhere. She never stayed the night, always had an early morning or some excuse. She once said she hated sleeping in unfamiliar beds, which I chalked up to anxiety. Now I think it was guilt. One night, after we'd been seeing each other for a little over a month, I posted a picture on my story. It was just me and Loki on the couch, nothing dramatic. But Kara was in the background, barely visible, but there. You could see her hoodie sleeve and her legs stretched out with Scout curled up near her feet. I didn't think anything of it. Until I got a DM from a name I didn't recognize. "Hey, I know this is weird, but is the girl in your story named Kara?" I froze. I clicked her profile. Public. A bunch of photos of her and another guy. Some of them recent, definitely boyfriend-level photos. My stomach dropped. Me. Yeah. Why? Zara. That's my best friend's boyfriend. I stared at the screen for a full minute. Wait. What? They've been together on and off for 2 years. He's been trying to make it work. She told him she wasn't seeing anyone else. I just stared. Zara, she's lying to both of you. I didn't respond right away. I sat there in my living room, Scout asleep on my floor, Kara in the bathroom brushing her teeth like everything was fine. And I had no idea what to do. When she came back out, I just stared at her. She looked at me and smiled. "You okay?" I nodded, too stunned to say anything. "Yeah, just tired." She curled up on the couch next to me and started scrolling through TikTok like it was any other night. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there replaying everything. The casual deflections, the gaps in her stories, the way she always made me feel like I didn't need to worry. It was like watching a magic trick after learning how it's done. You start seeing all the sleight of hand, all the ways you were looking where she wanted you to, instead of where you should have been. The next morning, I texted Zara. I need proof. She didn't hesitate. She sent me screenshots, text threads, voice notes, photos Kara had sent her friend. All time-stamped, all clear. And the guy, Jordan, looked real. Not just some ex she was stringing along. He had pictures with Scout, with Kara's mom, inside her apartment. He was clearly the main guy. I was the secret. That night, I confronted her. She came over with tacos and some stupid rom-com on her phone like nothing had happened. I didn't waste time. I got a message, I said, from a girl named Zara. Kara's face barely twitched. Okay. She says you're dating someone else. Silence. Then, that's not true. She sent proof. Pause. Then, it's complicated. I stared at her. Explain it. She sighed, like I just asked her to do something annoying. Jordan and I aren't together. We were trying to figure things out. I didn't think it would turn into something serious with you. My stomach twisted. We've been seeing each other for 6 weeks, she shrugged. We never said we were exclusive. I laughed, sharp and bitter. You told me you weren't seeing anyone else. I didn't say that. No, you just let me believe it. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She said, I didn't think you'd take it this seriously. That hit harder than anything else. Because I had. And she hadn't. I told her to leave. She rolled her eyes and muttered something like, whatever. Then walked out with her tacos and Scout, leaving me with this disgusting mix of confusion and self-loathing. I sat there in the quiet for a long time, wondering how I fell for it. After Kara left that night with her smug little eye roll and zero remorse, I sat on my couch staring at nothing for what felt like hours. Loki jumped up next to me and curled into my side like he knew something was off. Honestly, if it weren't for that dog, I might have gone full spiral. But even with him there, it felt like something inside me cracked. I wasn't heartbroken in the dramatic movie sense. I wasn't sobbing or eating ice cream straight from the tub. I was embarrassed, angry, and weirdly, numb. The next day, I texted Zara again. Thanks for the proof. I confronted her. Let me guess? She called it complicated? Yeah. Typical Kara. She did the same thing last year. There was a guy named Dylan, before him, Nick. How many? Honestly, I've lost count. She's always got someone in her back pocket. That hit hard. Not because I thought I was special, though maybe deep down I did, but because I hadn't realized I was just one of many. One more name on her emotional bench in case the starter got injured. That afternoon, I called my brother Benji. He answered on speaker, mouth full of something. Yo, you alive? I just found out I was the side guy in a relationship I didn't know I was part of. Chewing stopped. Wait. What? I explained everything. The DMs, the confrontation, Kara's gaslighting. Benji whistled. Damn, that's foul. Yeah. Let me guess. You didn't ask any questions because you didn't want to seem paranoid. Pretty much. Bro. He paused. You're allowed to ask questions. Being curious isn't being controlling. That sentence stuck with me. Because yeah, I had ignored a lot of weirdness. I didn't want to seem clingy or insecure, so I just let stuff slide. But when someone's dodging the truth, they love when you're too polite to call them out. That weekend, I went out with a few friends to try to clear my head. It worked, for a bit. I even flirted with someone at the bar. But halfway through the conversation, I caught myself wondering, is she seeing someone else too? And just like that, the mood was gone. Kara hadn't just messed up a situationship. She'd cracked something deeper, my ability to trust what people say when they look me in the eye. A few days later, Zara reached out again. Zara, Jordan found out. From you? Nope, from Kara. She told him some half-truth before I could. What did he do? He's crushed, but she spun it like you were the one chasing her. Said she kept you around because she felt bad. My jaw tightened. Wow, so now I'm the desperate one? She said she tried to be nice and not hurt you. That was when I stopped texting Zara. Not because I was mad at her, she was just the messenger, but because I couldn't take another second of hearing Kara's twisted narrative. She hadn't just cheated, she'd rewritten the whole story to make herself the victim. And somehow, I was the villain. The worst part? She did it with no shame. A week later, She was back on Instagram. New photos, new captions, and one story post that nearly made me throw my phone. It's crazy how people will twist a connection into a crime. Subtle. Real subtle. I didn't respond. I didn't react. But I started noticing things differently, like how my phone was way quieter now. No Kara texts lighting up my screen with inside jokes or late-night memes. No plans. No, hey, I saw this and thought of you. The quiet was peaceful, but it was also lonely. I'd gotten used to someone being there, even if it was fake. I tried dating again. Matched with a girl named Elena on Bumble. She was sweet, a little shy, worked in tech support. We grabbed coffee once, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was second-guessing everything she said. When she mentioned an ex, I flinched. When she laughed at my joke, I wondered if she meant it. I hated how guarded I'd become. One night, I was scrolling through old photos, something I do not recommend when you're trying to move on, and found one from the night Kara cooked dinner at my place. She'd burned the rice, and we ended up ordering tacos. She'd laughed so hard she cried, and I remember thinking, this is someone I could build something with. Turns out, I was building it on a sinkhole. A couple days later, I got a text from Kara. Just one line. Kara, you never gave me a chance to explain. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I had 100 things I wanted to say, but none of them would matter, because I had given her a chance. She just used it to lie, so I didn't respond. Instead, I screenshotted the message and sent it to Benji. She reached out. Block her. Thinking about it. If she needed to explain, she should have done it before she lied, not after she got caught. I stared at that reply for a long time, because he was right. The next morning, I blocked her, not out of anger, but because healing doesn't start until you stop picking the scab. It's strange how fast someone can go from being your favorite part of the day to a stranger on your phone screen. One week, I was learning Kara's coffee order and trying to memorize the way she scrunched her nose when she was thinking. The next, I was watching her post cute selfies with a guy I'd only seen in screenshots. Jordan. The ex she said she wasn't really with. The one she told me not to worry about. Now he was her entire grid. The photos weren't subtle. Couples brunch. Hiking shots. One of Scout sandwiched between their legs on a picnic blanket. The captions were worse. Grateful for people who stay. Sometimes you get it right the second time. Loyalty hits different. I felt like I was choking on something invisible. She was out here performing the ideal relationship with the guy she'd been cheating on. With me. And I was stuck trying to forget someone who clearly had no problem forgetting me. I didn't tell anyone I was still checking her page. Not Benji. Not my friends. Not even myself, really. I'd open the app like I was just passing through. No big deal. Then I'd find myself zooming in, analyzing her expressions, wondering if she was actually happy or just trying to make me squirm. I hoped it was fake, but it didn't look fake. One night, I called Benji. I didn't mean to. I just opened my contacts, saw his name, and hit call. Yo, he answered, casual as ever. Why do I still care? He paused. Kara again? She's posting like I never mattered, like none of it was real. Benji didn't give me some fluffy pep talk. He just said, because it mattered to you. And she knew that. That's why she made you believe it mattered to her too. I stayed quiet. Then he added, she's not celebrating her love, she's celebrating her image. There's a difference. I didn't believe him at first, but a couple days later, Zara texted me again. Zara, I thought you should know. She's been telling people you were obsessed with her. I stared at the message. Seriously? Yeah. She said you were just a rebound and wouldn't leave her alone, that you got attached, and she felt bad stringing you along. Wow. I'm sorry. I told Jordan that's BS, but you know how she spins things. I did. I really did. So now I wasn't just the side guy. I was the clingy side guy in her retelling of everything. Like I'd imagined it all. Like she didn't lay on my couch, laugh at my jokes, tell me how easy it felt being around me. Like I hadn't watched her slip out of my apartment with half a bag of tacos and zero guilt. I tried dating again. Not to fill the void, but to prove to myself I could. I met Lena through a mutual friend. She worked at a nonprofit, loved sushi, and hated slow walkers. We grabbed lunch, then drinks, then another lunch. She was kind and funny in a dry way I liked. But every time she laughed, I caught myself wondering how long until she got bored, or if someone else was texting her while I was in the bathroom. When she said, "You're really easy to talk to," I smiled, then immediately second-guessed if she meant it. Not because of her, because of Kara. One night, Lena invited me over to her place for dinner. She cooked this pasta dish that was a little too spicy, but she was so proud of it I didn't say anything. We ended up on her couch, legs tangled, some random documentary playing in the background, and for a moment, it felt peaceful. Then her phone buzzed, and she flipped it over quickly, and I felt something in my chest tighten. She caught the look on my face and asked, "You okay?" I hesitated, and that was when I realized I wasn't ready. I apologized, told her I was still healing from something messy and didn't want to waste her time. She was cool about it, told me she appreciated the honesty and hoped we'd bump into each other again when the timing was better. That night, I sat in my apartment, holding Loki's leash in one hand and my phone in the other, staring at Kara's name in my blocked contacts. The urge to unblock her hit hard. I just wanted to ask, why? Why lie? Why twist the story? Why make me feel like I was crazy for believing in something she clearly pretended to care about? But I didn't do it. I shut off my phone and took Loki for a long walk through the park. A few days later, I ran into someone who used to work with Kara, Marcus, I think his name was. He recognized me outside a bookstore and came up with this weird half smile. "You're Miles, right?" "Yeah," he nodded. "You dated Kara for a bit?" "Something like that." He laughed under his breath. "Man, you're not the first, and you won't be the last." I didn't know what to say. He added, "Just know, what happened with her? That's not on you." I nodded, thanked him, and walked away. I didn't want to be remembered as one of Kara's almosts, but that's exactly what I was. It had been almost 2 months since I blocked Kara. 2 months of relearning how to trust my gut, how to not flinch when a new text notification popped up. 2 months of slowly letting go of someone who never really cared if they hurt me, as long as it made them feel wanted. And then, out of nowhere, I got a message from an unknown number. "Hey, it's me. Can we talk?" I knew it was her, not because of the words, but because of the silence that followed. Kara never followed up, never begged or chased. She asked just enough to feel like she tried, then vanished if she didn't get what she wanted. And yet, I replied, "Me? What for?" "Unknown. Just one conversation. That's all I'm asking. You said everything you needed to say when you walked out. Please." And like a complete idiot, or maybe just someone who needed to put the last nail in the coffin, I agreed. We met at this quiet coffee shop near campus. Neutral ground, not too crowded, not too intimate. She walked in wearing a hoodie and a messy bun, holding her phone like a shield. Scout wasn't with her. The first thing I noticed, she looked nervous. Good. She sat down slowly. "Hey," I nodded. "Hi." We sat in silence for a bit. I didn't offer small talk. I didn't ask how she'd been. She finally spoke. "Thanks for meeting me." I leaned back. "Let's not waste time. What do you want?" She blinked like she hadn't expected me to be blunt. I just wanted to explain what happened, what I was thinking. I stared at her. "No offense, Kara, but I'm not sure I care anymore." She flinched. "I get that, but I need to say it, for me." I rolled my eyes. "Of course you do." She started talking, telling me how things with Jordan had been messy, how she didn't plan on meeting me, how our connection caught her off guard, how she felt torn and confused and didn't want to hurt anyone. She said it like I was supposed to be flattered, like being a surprise backup plan was somehow romantic. I let her finish. I didn't interrupt. I wanted her to say it all so I could remember exactly who she was. She ended with this line, "You were real to me, Miles. Even if it was short, I meant what I said back then." I nodded slowly. "And yet, you lied. Spun the story. Made me out to be the obsessed one. Told Jordan I wouldn't leave you alone." Her face went pale. I didn't mean it like that." "You said it, though." "I just didn't want to look like a villain." "You are the villain." She was quiet for a second. Then she laughed, but not in a funny way. More like in that bitter, cracked kind of way people do when they realize they lost. "You always made me feel seen," she said. "That's why I kept coming back. You actually listened. Jordan never did." I shrugged. "Then why'd you stay with him?" She stared at her coffee. And for once, she didn't have an answer. That's when I knew I didn't need one. There wasn't some deep, tragic reason. No shocking twist. No dramatic explanation. She stayed with him because it was easier, because it looked good on paper, because he was the safe bet and I was the emotional placeholder. And she'd lie to keep it that way as long as she could. She looked up. I really am sorry. I believed her. But I also didn't care. Thanks, I said. I hope you figure out what you want before dragging someone else into it. She blinked like I'd slapped her, then nodded slowly. Take care, Miles. You too. And just like that, she walked out. No hug, no lingering glance, just gone. Again. This time, I didn't feel sick. I didn't sit in my car afterward replaying it or texting Benji a blow-by-blow. I just drove home, made some tea, and took Loki for a walk. It was quiet. It was peaceful. A week later, I matched with someone on Hinge, a girl named Marin, who loved poetry and old vinyl records and didn't use Instagram. We grabbed coffee, then took our dogs on a walk. It felt easy, natural. No red flags, no gut punches. She laughed at my dumb jokes, and when I told her I was trying to be more honest with myself lately, she said, "That's rare. Most people don't even realize when they're lying to themselves." I smiled. Maybe this time, I'd get it right. Looking back, Kara didn't break me. She just revealed what I needed to fix. I spent too long confusing attention for affection, too long mistaking effort for honesty. She wanted someone to make her feel less alone. I wanted someone who wouldn't make me question myself. We were never a match. We were just mistakes wearing nice clothes. And I'm done dressing up lessons as love. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. If you want to share your stories, please comment below. Additionally, what is your opinion on the poster's decision?